Yo, 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 what's going on, ladies and gentlemen?
Yo.
Welcome to another episode of the Chucano podcast. Today, we got a good buddy of ours. We got El Maestro, Ernesto Tinajero from Radio La Chusma.
Give it up, dude. Give it up.
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah.
What's going on, y'all?
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that.
What's up, man? How's you guys' week, man? Did you have a good week?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I sweat my ass off today at work because I had a big menudo in a hot place. No air conditioner.
What kind of menu?
Whatsoever.
It was bad.
It was hot?
It was from
Los Jarones.
yeah, dude. It was.
Oh,
dope.
yeah.
It was good, dude. But
Dude,
I sweat.
So he's like, hey, man, go pick it up, dude. And I want no part of this fucking menudo, bro. I'm just like, he was asking everybody, you want menudo? I'm like, yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? But the whole time I'm like, dude, I'm not hungry right now. You know what I mean? So he orders and everything. He's like, you want to go pick it up? I was like, fucking shit, man. So I go to the Los Jarones right there down the street.
Right there down the street.
And guess what? He called a different one.
You're a fucking loser.
So there's some other jarones right now
Called the
sitting
one-
on
I
like
don't know if
6
it's
menudos.
like no, they had to fucking call them. They're like, oh yeah, we got to cancel that order because they're gonna be bitching that. You know?
But what do
I was
they
like,
do?
They
What do
just
they
pour it
do though?
back.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Do they just get them and like
Yeah.
was ni modo, or do they just set it aside for someone else?
No, they're not going to give it to anybody else.
Well,
This
no,
is a fucking time of Rona right now.
Not like
dude.
that. I mean, it's already packaged.
It's already packaged.
Like someone calls in, like, we'll just give them one of the ones that
yeah,
already.
put it in the microwave.
That sucks.
It was good though, but I sweat. I felt like throwing up right after.
Nice.
Pretty scary.
It's because you were hungover.
Maybe.
What it is?
Here we go.
Well, let's not talk about my personal
Well,
life.
hopefully everybody had a good week, and we're back here with Ernie, and we can't wait to get into what he's got going on lately. But let's start from the tip top, Ernie.
Shit.
You come from a large family, man, and you guys have always been very musical.
Yeah.
And how did it all start for you, man? Becoming a songwriter, a singer, and a musician.
Well, like you said, I came from a big family. There was 8 of us, 8 kids, mom and dad, and my dad played guitar.
Yeah.
Where do you lie
He
in
taught
that 8?
himself guitar at age 30.
Oh,
So
badass.
he would. I'm 6.
6.
Damn.
I'm 6 of 8, and so the story is, and I was little at the time, but I was probably born around that time. But he would take his guitar and we had this big van that everybody would drive in, and he had different cars, I'm sure, but he taught himself on like stoplights. So he'd stop at the light and fucking pick it up, do the G chord for a little bit, and then like, oh shit, put it down.
Really?
And that's
Wow.
when I grew up. That's how he would read the newspaper. Like
Yeah.
he'd read while he drove. It was like crazy. But
That's how I read my text
so
messages.
he learned. He taught himself guitar, and then we kind of all picked it up, and played in the church, and we played for birthdays, and we played, and for a while the family had like a little group. We had a little fucking
A little family band.
we had a family band,
like a little Jackson
There was
7?
2 guitars, 2 trumpets, 2 violins, and
so
little
everybody in your
percussion.
family plays?
Yeah, pretty
All of
much.
them? Hey, man, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you
And
all
so-
sing, or who was like the main singer?
Well, my
of
dad
that
was the
little
main
group?
singer, and then we would all like harmonize.
Cool.
But it was crazy. The practices were rough, man.
Were
Like,
they in the living room?
they were in the living room, and my dad was like the Jackson dad, like.
Yeah, you can go outside and play.
There'd
after
always
you
be a
practice.
fight, and then we would run the different directions or whatever.
Nah, it builds character.
But no,
man.
it was good. Like, one time I remember my dad was a hustler, and we remember we would do for Mother's Day. He set up this gig to do mañanitas.
Oh,
So he
yeah.
put out an ad in the paper to call him for I think it was like $40. We'll come and do 33 songs at your house, right?
Oh shit. That's a big
Damn, girl.
set list.
No,
33 songs?
Well, we do 3 songs.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he said, I
And
33
basically you
times?
did the same 3 songs at all
To
the houses.
everybody.
But we would start in the valley, like all these people start calling, and then so it was just the family, right? We got in the van, and we'd go, and we did this a few years. After a while, there was people. Some of them were old enough to drive, and we'd go in 2 cars or whatever. But we'd start in the valley, and we'd go all the way up to like Central, and do 3 songs, knock on the door, or just stand outside the window. We started like at 6 in the morning.
Yeah, like
3 songs, move, boom, 3 songs. He made a little map, and we score, we make it back.
Damn, that's still, and that was like when, like in the
Shoot, I was probably, I was 10 years old,
Oh
11 years old.
shit. That's so
Just
crazy because
watching that kind of stuff.
my family did that in Fabens. We'd get together the night before Mother's Day, And all my older uncles and my older cousins and all them, we'd all get together, and a couple of my family members would play guitar, and we'd go around to all of our loved ones, and we'd sing them Las Mañanitas at midnight.
Yeah.
We'd go to their house and wake them up, and then we'd sing the songs and stuff. And my grandma loved it, God rest her soul.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember when I got old enough to join them, and I was 7, and I was just playing the C chord and the F and the G, and I was all nervous and shit. But that's cool, man. That's cool that you guys used to do the same
My dad
thing.
hustled it, bro, and we were just banking. Like, I remember, like, being little, he'd be like, here's 50. You know, I probably made, like,
dang.
$50, you know, or something like that.
At the time, you're like,
I was like, dang, $50 bill, you know?
Imagine all the Reese's Pieces I'm gonna buy.
Yeah,
Well, not Reese's
so-
Pieces at the time. It's probably the Reese's Cups, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
You
said,
get down with the cups?
we played at the church, right? So we would the church would hire us to play like all the masses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like, you know, let's say six masses. You're there all day. Well, they gave us a room to like go, and we'd crash out, and like it was a gig, right? So we'd crash out during the breaks, and then it's time. We're at the end of the mass, and we'd get up and wake up and go and sing the songs, and then boom, go crash out, relax, eat something. Like it was like it's crazy because church was I always saw it like kind of like a perform, like a gig.
Yeah.
You grew up Catholic?
Yeah. so you know, it was always like, what's on the set list? This is the set list. You know, this part, the priest says this. Boom, we come in on this. You know, when he says this word, we start this song. And when this, you know, like, it was. I always saw it like as a gig happening, and you know, yeah, you're spiritual with it at times, but it was always like part of the. I was part of the performance. You know what I'm saying?
I was, and I'm not trying to get away from it, but I feel for you, and I'm thinking, man, you must have the best naps in the world, because church probably has the best AC, dog.
Nah, it wasn't that great. It wasn't
No,
that great.
because like right now, if you go into a church, dude, like you're sitting there, and you know when you're in school and you're like trying to pay attention to the teacher, and it's so cold, and you're just like,
Yeah, the worst is when there's no AC and you're sitting in church,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, let's get out of here.
they do that to
El
get all the
demonio-
demons out.
demonios
Yeah, they do that
inside
to get all the demons out. Dude.
So when you
Turn
had
the
to
AC
play
off.
all those church masses, did you have to learn an English set and a Spanish set?
No, we just did those mañanitas. We just did them in Spanish. I mean, it's all, we're in El Paso, you know.
Yeah. So for the churches,
no
like
Spanish,
when you
get
go
the
and play
fuck
them,
outta
when you go play for mass, it was just all Spanish.
So it was just basically that, and then when high school I started, that's when I actually started picking up the guitar and doing the cover songs, doing the Pearl Jam and the Black Crowes and the, you know.
Were
that
you
kind of
were you
stuff.
learning with your friends or like from your?
For my brothers, I really didn't play with friends for a long time.
Yeah.
It was always weird.
This is in California?
No, this is here.
In Chuco?
Yeah, I grew up here, so we're just trying to do things. And then I remember it was around high school that I was like, I had enough courage, enough huevos to like take it around my friends and jam, you know, at parties and stuff.
Yeah, no shit.
And so we'd go do bonfires out of Red Sands, or we'd be in somebody's backyard and start jamming. And then you know, from there it was like it just built up with there's a guy out there that does solo work all the time, Julio Ortiz.
Oh yeah,
Well,
shout
me
out
and-
to Julio, man.
Me
He's
and
a
him
badass.
started, right? That's how we just started playing with. We'd play everywhere, all the parties and
What
everything.
year is this?
Ooh, I would say from 90, like when we started jamming together, it was probably 94, 93, 94, because 93 is when I started. That summer I graduated in 93. From there I started doing. I was working the stage crew for Viva El Paso.
Okay. So
And-
you'd get in there and set up everything for
right.
that.
You move the things and you would set up the whole show and whatever.
So back in 93, you were already into reggae and you were already...
Not
vibing on that
exactly.
style?
Not exactly. I'd heard reggae. I would say I was probably about 12, 13, 14 maybe when somebody in my family, I think it might have been my sister Betsy, who had it was a tape, and it just said like reggae classic. It was just kind of like a mixtape.
Yeah.
And there was a Rita Marley, there was a Peter Tosh song on there. There was a Jacob Miller, but I didn't know who any of these people were at the time. I just liked the way it sounded. And I remember like listening to the radio, and there were certain songs that would stand out to me. You know, I liked The Police, and I liked what was that one song? The Tide is High.
Yeah.
You know, or some of those songs where you're just
like the UB40 and all that.
what is
Or
that?
no?
Yeah. I like that song. I would listen every now and then. They play it on the radio, right? So you do listen to rock and then they throw a song, and you're just like, oh, that's a cool song.
Don't
it
worry.
sounds different. It sounds
Be
different.
happy. That's back in the 90s, right?
Not even that. No. I'm talking like when it was. You didn't even know what it was. Every now and then they'd play. Just like even like Led Zeppelin. It's like something's different about that song, and I like it.
Yeah, it goes against the
Dire Maker.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's different things that you're just like, wow, that's a cool song. The Joker, just things like that. You're like, it sounds a little different. In the summertime, you're less like things sound that's not rock, right? Yeah. But it was something about it. It's not blues. It's not. So it was always in the back of my head.
It's like rock and roll, isn't it?
It was always in the back of my head, and it
that particular song's a little Zydeco.
Yeah. But it still has that backbeat.
Yeah, the original
upbeat, the
origin
backbeat
of it.
jump of it. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like that. Like that's. Then it's of course like you all know a lot of everything that we're talking about right now is all African based.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
African
yeah,
rhythms.
when I started listening to that and feeling that, I was like, and it wasn't until later on, and I would say it was about, I guess, the summer, like 93, 94, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, we're buddies, is Rafa Reynoso, and he went to play baseball, and he after high school, he went to play baseball in Hawaii.
Oh, shit.
And so, he's gone for a while, then he came back, and he was like, check this out. And there was a lot of, like, Bob Marley and so I was like, oh, yeah, like, this is familiar. Yeah. And there was some stuff, then I was like, but I love it, so I started getting deep into it.
When I first heard Bob Marley, it felt familiar to me too, because it was always like a background type thing too, and you would hear it in different movies and stuff like that. So when I heard it, it felt familiar to me as well. I never knew what it was. I never understood reggae and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's everywhere, and it's
so it felt familiar to you.
It's one of those things that's always been. It's always in the underlayment of things, So yeah, bro.
So it felt familiar to you? That's what you were saying?
Yes. So to get back, you guys...
Before I was interrupted, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
rudely interrupted. I want to talk too.
Yeah.
So you guys... so you and Julio started jamming.
We should interview you then.
Yeah.
So you and Julio started jamming probably like 94, 95.
Yeah, we'd play all the parties, and so the Viva El Paso parties, that you're playing the performance, ends like, let's say 10:30, and then everybody wants to hang out. So all the performers and all the crew, everybody's like, okay, well, let's go to somebody's house, and we'd party till sun came up, and then everybody go to sleep, and then you go do the show again.
Go back again.
And then it was whose house are we going to this time? So me and Julio, we got our chops, just playing a lot of these parties.
And everybody would be asking for different songs and all that stuff, or
yeah. And he took care of like the Beatles and he was badass.
He's still badass.
Yeah, exactly.
He's still fucking badass.
So we would get down, and and we'd have other people join us, and eventually some people say, "Well, come play at our restaurant or come play this," and it was always weird trying to play. Because we still didn't know about amplification or none of that. It was always acoustic, right? And so it wasn't until I probably hadn't really jammed with a drummer or nothing until I'd say maybe 96 when I was doing a. Did you say pickup sticks?
He's always got those little quirky.
I was doing there was this production that came that this guy asked me to do the stage for. So I designed the set, and we did a tour of all the high schools from the west side all the way to the valley.
Ah, shit.
And it was about like gang violence and shit. Anyways, I was doing the stage, and I got this homeboy Bobby Badseed to be he was the sound guy. And so they gave us a U-Haul and we would carry everything and set up for this play every day. And so he's like, well, I'm going to bring my drums, bring your bass, So we would set up in these high schools, and then we start jamming. So we start hanging out or whatever. After one of these jobs, this performance or whatever, we go, let's go to the Brass Ass, have a beer.
Oh, the
and
Brass,
then Pancho walks in, Pancho Mendoza.
Yeah.
Who I had met him playing hacky sack at EPCC, and he was just like, he had like hair bangs down to here and like big holes in his pants and like marker all over his pants and shit.
We're gonna have to ask him for a picture.
So we would play hack all the time, and he would tell me, I'm in a band or whatever, and like I had never gone to hear him or nothing, but it wasn't until Bobby knew him and we ran into him, and he was like, I need a bass player. So that's when I started playing with actual band,
With a Fixed Idea?
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. And this is like around 96 or?
Right. That was 96, and then
Pickup Sticks.
So that was a few years. I went a couple years, like 3, maybe 4 years, and I started playing. And this time, with Pancho, we're studying reggae and ska heavy, heavy.
Who were your influences?
Yeah, who was hitting back then? Like, who were you guys like?
We were just roots, man. You got to study the roots. Like, I don't care.
Like who?
Like I was trying to tell you earlier. If you're in reggae, you better study. You got to study the roots.
Yeah.
You got to go back to when they start. The earliest.
Yeah, of course.
Learn as much as you can.
Yeah.
That way, and that's the tradition. Not to just have a skank guitar in your music and say that's reggae.
Yeah.
Of course.
So it's definitely
Yeah.
one of those things. I remember we would practice in the little cuartito with his mom's washer and dryer, and we'd all be stuffed in there. And every now and then she'd come in and she'd be like, Pancho! Like, she'd go in there and go to change the laundry.
Yeah, we've been there.
Shit. It was crazy. But sometimes, there was one time it was probably about 3 of us, me, Pancho, and O'Gare, who was playing with Slightly Stupid right now.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I met him.
And got some mushrooms, and we just turned off the lights and put on some Bob, and, and we all went on this journey, right? But it was like it was those things where I was like, okay, this is the roots of what it is. And at the time, we're playing ska punk stuff, and I'm learning my chops as far as the bass and how to play with a band and all that stuff. But I always wanted to play, I wanted my music to reflect what I was learning.
Yeah.
And I did, everybody matures or whatever, and I was really getting into the slower, the rootsier reggae than the ska punk and stuff like that. And I would suggest let's play this song like this, but it was like, nah, I don't know if you know Pancho, but it's like we're gonna play these
fast.
We're gonna play these songs forever
with a certain drive. Like he
I love you, Pancho, bro.
Yeah, I guess he went more towards the driving of the ska
side, the punk
more,
side,
right? Or he loves reggae too, but
yeah, he does, and he knows it.
Oh yeah,
like he taught me a lot as far as the roots of that, but that's for his vision and his band. That's what he wants, is that style, which is cool. And they're still going,
Was that the first time you were in a like a serious band setting?
Right, like doing shows, worrying about stuff. Yeah,
like, hey, this is a serious band,
right?
Pancho's always taking his music seriously, and he's one of the OGs of El Paso. You guys will get to check him out one day pretty soon.
Yeah.
And,
he's tops, bro. And
yeah.
But as personally, I was thinking of, like, I wanted to do more roots. I want to explore more rootsy stuff, more with that drum and bass, slow it down, get some harmonies going, that kind of thing. And at the time, my drummer that I had since the beginning I had him for about 10 years. Scott Maristein.
Scott, yeah.
He's the one that said, hey, I'm playing with this guy, Mark Alvarado. He goes, we're doing a little reggae. And our bassist, we don't have a bassist. And no one really knows that groove. And I really hadn't really played that groove. So it wasn't till I started getting down with that, and that I started practicing those kinds of grooves and playing the reggae with Border Roots.
Did you lean towards like a certain bass player that you were listening to at the time? Like,
well, definitely family, man, and definitely I would just observe the general, because I had to learn quickly. So I was just like, okay, well, what's the gist of the whole thing? And there, it's definitely us. You try to mimic whatever you hear. And at the time, Border Roots, we did a lot of covers. So I was able to hear it. But there was times where Mark would, and it was cool because I kind of took some of his style too, where he'd say, don't even hear the recording, just play these chords, and like so not to let's not imitate exactly the bass line or the guitar lick, right? But let's just play in the same key or in my own key that I can sing in,
and put your own style.
Yeah. So for that reason, if I play Bend Down Low from, or whatever from the Wailers, a lot of times they're like, well, you're not playing it right. And it's like, well, I'm just grooving it, and that's more than half of the music is the feel and the groove,
Yeah.
And I've always thought that was more important than playing note for note, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Border Roots, we just play we'd play the small bars, and then we ended up doing like Music Under the Stars, and it was blew up, So I got that feel for reggae. I was singing and playing bass, backup singing and stuff, and so it was dope, you know. And then after that, I kind of just started. It was probably around that time that I went to California. You know, about 2000.
In 2000.
Yeah.
So after Border Roots, you went to Cali.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was around it was about 2000, 2001. Yeah, it was like Y2K,
Yeah.
all that shit going on, and O'Gare, he had already moved out there, and he was like, "Man, you got to come out." He gives me a call. He's like, "Dude, you got to come out here. There's some cool shit going on." So I said, "All right, well."
Was
I
this
kind of pretty much dropped what I had and what was going on, you know.
Was this like San Diego, or was this more like LA, or where were you
San
guys?
Diego.
You guys were in San Diego. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so, and he had told me a little bit. He was getting into, you know, the Afro-Cuban stuff, the Afro-Cuban rhythms, the music, and he was just off the hook. He's like, "You just gotta come check this out." So I went out there, and a friend of mine, Mando Soto, was already living out there. So I called him up and said, "Man, you come stay here for a little bit." Went out there, and I swear I was. It was probably about a year and a half that I just put down my guitar. I didn't play guitar for about a year and a half. I was just learning the clave, learning the 6/8, learning where the shekere hits this, and where, you know, how to play a shekere, how to sing into this, you know, and then of course learning about the orisha and about our spirits and the ancestros and all these things that take us to, you know, from the roots of Africa to where we're at, you know, and how it's all related.
So, like, now that you bring that up, you said you grew up Catholic, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, you know, like, knowing that, you know, the Spaniards, you know, came and they colonized Mexico. So when they colonized Mexico, they brought their religion along with them.
Right.
You know, like, they forced their religion upon us. You know
Right.
what I mean? And a lot of things were lost. How do you feel about that, you know, carrying the Catholic religion? Do you carry the spirituality side? Like, what is your take on that?
Well, definitely.
I'm
I
gonna
think
edit that out.
anybody that has that once we learn that, you know, for me it was hard to look back. You know, it's basically like, culture, our spirituality, our knowledge, our science, our plants, a lot of was lost, was burnt, was just disregarded. And I think everybody goes through stages. You know, at some point I was at the stage where I was, you know, angry for all of that. You know, for sure. You know, we feel that anger, and you know, and sometimes I still do. I still feel that anger for not knowing exactly how we can cure ourselves naturally. How we, you know, our diets, our habits. You know, the way we used to think, you know, and treat each other, and you know, but it's still good. It's still there, you know. To my learning, you know, there was a movement in the 70s, I believe, 60s, 70s that there was like a revival to those ways, and then then you find out that there's people that have been practicing those ways this whole time.
Yeah,
but they hid it.
They hid it,
and they hid it in the church, and they hid it through things,
statues, and
yeah, and so it's just an amazing world, you know. But I think once you realize your indigenous roots and you know, your bloodline and where your ancestry and all that stuff, like it definitely changes. It should change your perspective on life.
It should give you an identity.
It
of
should,
who you really
know,
are.
and at least if not, you're always gonna. It should always be in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
You know, even if we're not there yet, finding our true identity in this world, because we're not full-blooded anymore. You know, we're all mixed up, and we're all from generation past. You know, we're taught a different way. So some things that are normal, you know, may not have been normal back then, but we can't. You know, we're also learning we can't really cry about that and be totally lost, because we know that some things still exist, and we have. Through communication with the ancestors and with our own spirit, that we're able to unlock a lot of the knowledge and a lot of the ways. Now, for me, you know, life happens or whatever, and we can't practice as much as we'd like to, but it's there, you know, and I think it's important for for people of Mexican descent, for Hispanics or Latino or whatever you want to call yourself, to understand you're rooted in indigenous blood.
There's no such thing as a Mexican.
And you're also, and perhaps you're rooted in African blood.
Yeah, exactly. There's a Mexican is native roots with European blood, mixed with European blood, which is a Spanish, right?
A lot of times they're not even mixed, like it wasn't like, back in the day when they were saying, okay, we're converting everybody to Catholicism. It wasn't like, it wasn't, some of it was done through generations, but also they would take just the group of the whole village and say, okay, all the guys, your name is Jose, and all the ladies, your name is Maria, and your last name is Gutierrez, because I'm in charge of this pueblo.
Yeah.
It also
and let's move on from there
as well, no?
And let's move on from there. So a lot of people, they're still very indigenous, but for census reasons and for paperwork reasons, back in England or whatever, Spain. Yeah. In the main, their land, they needed these numbers to be high. So next thing you know, you have a whole village of 500 that are converted to Catholicism. Yeah. And then they're able to bring some more support, money, and stuff like that.
I've researched a little bit about that, where they called it the paper genocide. Right. Where once they started taking away the land and everything from the indigenous, they didn't have a social security number or anything to be able to get a job or to own land or property or anything. So finally, Mexico and even America said, okay, you know what? If you guys want to join, we're going to give you your social, but here, you're Martinez, you're Gutierrez, all the Z's or whatever, you're Ramos or whatever. And that's another way how we lost our lineage, because we lost who we were. Yeah.
I have a friend of mine, a buddy of mine, Eric Murillo. He did his thesis on that subject with Isleta, Socorro, and Tornillo, and all the valley. Yeah. The valley. And so basically in Favens, like those areas, you can see in the census, in 1 year, it was all these Indios. Yeah. And there was like one family black, and there was like 5, European families. Yeah. The next year, it was considered other, and they put, and so it was either your Indio or your other. They just took it, and the next thing you know, they were counted as, I think they were called vecinos or something. But it was it was considered the European section. Yeah. But it was all the Indios, basically. So the next thing you know, all them were considered in the census as European descent, and then they only said there was 6 families of actual Indios. So then you can't give them that money that they deserve, or you can't support them. Exactly. And there was
the loopholes that they were going around.
Yeah. It happened right here, like next thing you know, all their Indian identity goes away.
My uncle actually found some of the paperwork where his great grandfather was from a tribe here in Texas before Texas was ever involved with Mexico or America, and he's found the paperwork where he had to change his name to Elopes, Elopes.
Elopes.
Did he sell corn?
I don't know what's going on. That's weird.
And so he's found that, and I was telling him, like, you know what, that might be part of the paper genocide where these where the census was like, okay, we're going to count you guys now and all that. And so those generations, they didn't want to tell their kids that they were native because they wouldn't get the best opportunities. So they told them, no, just tell them that you're Mexican, or just I remember my grandfather, he used to speak Tarahumara and Spanish the way we speak English and Spanish together.
Wow, yeah, that's cool.
And we would ask him, like, are we Tarahumara? And he's like, no, mijo, no. We're not Indian. And he would stick to that. Wow, man. And
that sucks, and but that's part of that conditioning and through violence and through pressure and through, withholding resources. It's the same thing and it goes around all over the world, Yeah. We'll give you a Bible. If you take this Bible, then we're going to give you some food.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you're saying. That's what caused them to convert all these people and all that, because they would offer them something.
Right. Like, well, a lot of them, they offered them, we're not going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like,
We won't.
you
burn
won't
in
die
a
if
pile.
you become
We won't
Catholic
feed
or
our
whatever.
dogs. We won't feed you to our dogs, but
Yeah.
you know.
So all of this, you started getting into this from some of your buddies out there in San Diego.
For sure.
They showed you the Orisha, which that type of spirituality definitely rings very prominent into your music nowadays. But we'll get there. So this is the origin of it, like where you started hearing about this kind of talk and stuff like that.
And it was just a year and a half of just playing percussion, going to ceremonies, the African-based ceremonies, and just seeing what actually goes on there, and dispelling all the rumors and the people say about voodoo or whatever, like to actually see it and see how natural and how connected it really is.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful thing. So yeah, it touched me in a definitely in a deep way to where it still stays with me, and then it was also through that time that we got hooked up with some Chucanos, and they're like, hey, let's go for this weekend. Let's do some sweat lodges and stuff, and I've always been wanting to do that. So we went on that too. So there was the message, I think, that's always been through the music, or trying to go through the music, has always been that it's a oneness. We're all the same, and there's our roots. They all blend, and so that's always kind of been the underlying thesis, the underlying theme of the music.
We're gonna go back to that a little bit later, man, because I got a couple of examples of Mystic Ernie.
Oh shit! Here we go.
And some things that I noticed while watching the Maestro. There's some cool times that I noticed.
I've heard.
So we'll get back to that. So out there, what are you guys doing? Are you guys doing some more Afro-Cuban beats out there in San Diego?
Oh yeah,
with O'Gare in them,
there's a lot
or-
of Cubans out there, So
Yeah.
so it was really prominent, and there's a lot of Mexicans that are into those ways. Now, so yeah, and then there's also there was a maestro, Juan Carlos Blanco, who does Afro-Cuban classes in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
So every Saturday and sometimes during the week, we go and he would have drum class, and then he would have dance class. And for the dance class, he would want drummers. So usually we kind of show up or skip the drum part, and then just show up for the dance part, and then you just jump in there and learn. And if you're not, but and I've seen a lot of people try and fail, but because that's where you learn your chops, and you're not going to go and grab a bell from someone if you don't know what you're doing, just because your ego says I want to do that, I want to be that guy, and I saw it a few times, but so for a long time I just laid back and I just watched, and I watched who was playing what pattern and singing the songs, and then I'd be at home and I'd practice the bell, I'd practice how to play the certain pattern and try to keep it in time and try to sing it at the same time, whatever. And then every now, wasn't towards the end where I was like, I had the confidence to say, okay, let me play the bell for this. And of course, after, a couple minutes, someone just snacks it. I've seen it with I played a couple things. Give me that.
Get the hell
You're
out of the
wrong.
way.
If you're going to start it wrong, you're wrong.
Wow.
Damn.
If they don't give you a chance, you don't have a chance to be like, oh, I'll find,
I'll fix it.
I'll find it. No. And that's where you learn the clave is the clave. That's what everybody follows.
The 2-3 or the 3-2.
And a lot of people, before that,
Rhythm.
But
in
I
music,
think-
it was always in behind. It was always the back. It was always the little tick, the little noise in the back.
Just the filler,
Like-
No.
back in the day.
Like I
This
tell
is the
this is in the
driver.
front.
It's
No.
the driver.
like I said earlier, I think you find beauty in the mistakes. You know what I mean? Like if you find a different way to play that same instrument, there's beauty in that. You know what I mean? Like it like it's the same thing with Bob. You know what I mean? He was trying to create Motown. You know what I mean? And they were doing it wrong. You know what I mean? And it came out
I'll say
something
they're
right.
doing
Is
it wrong. I
Was
mean,
it wasn't that the thing though? It was like they were
They're
trying
doing it
to,
in their way.
yeah, they're doing it in their way.
Right.
But they didn't
when
stick to
you're
that
talking
root.
about, like, let's say playing the clave,
Yeah.
You're not gonna make up a new clave and say, "Oh, I'm just doing it the way I do it."
No, you're doing it because
No,
you're
there's a
interested in
clave,
tuning it.
and you stick to that
No,
clave, and you
no.
don't learn it any
Like
other way.
if I hear the clave and I don't know how to play it, I'm drawn to it, so I want to imitate it and I want to try to learn it. So I'm gonna try to fuck with it. You know what I mean? And
But
just because I'm
and-
doing it wrong at the
right,
beginning.
but you wouldn't
and-
be able to fuck with it within a group of
Yeah.
people that are playing it.
yeah, but
with
then
all their
some,
heart
you
and
know,
all their
then
soul.
the perfectionist comes in and shows you like,
Like
hey, this is how you do
that's
it.
your practice time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
he's
you
talking
do
about
that-
this is like a ceremonial thing.
Yeah.
where
even
they
in
come in.
even in drum class, it's serious. Even
Yeah.
even in a practice, you're serious. Like
Yeah.
like you know, you want to learn something and you want to
Yes.
experiment. And you can go do that in your bedroom and in your closet. You know what I'm saying? But if you're gonna play with an ensemble, you better be tight. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. And a lot of people, and that's another thing. A lot of people mistake rehearsal for practice. You know, you practice on your own and then you rehearse with the group. And you know, and that's what I always try to tell people, because this isn't the place to learn how to play your rhythm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you should show up with
Ready.
that, or an idea of it. You know what I'm saying? Work on it that way.
There's a couple of factors that you need to take into consideration in order to be considered a musician. Not only do you need to learn your instrument and know it pretty well, but you also got to have a good memory to memorize your lines as quick as possible, to be able to
For sure.
to be able to
definitely
to improvise every once in a while, depending on the vibe.
Yeah,
You need to get along with everybody. You need to know what everybody else is doing.
for sure.
You know, it's just not the same as just coming in and just being like, oh, I play guitar, so that's enough. Like, yeah, but if you forget your song every single day that we practice or that we play the song on stage, then you're not quite a musician yet.
Right,
I
right.
think.
Yeah. That's something we have. We have a lot of weekend. We always
But-
talk about it. Just his eyes, just his look. He can, and I know exactly what he's saying.
You've never had an Ernie stare before.
Oh,
No,
no.
and I'm
I've heard about those
Hey,
things before. I've heard about those things.
I'm notoriously known for my dirty looks.
But that's,
man.
I mean, like I was
I've been
saying
told
earlier.
time. I mean, my girl, man, she's always like, "Yeah, it looks like that look." You know, it's like,
Like I was
and I
saying
know,
earlier.
like I think I'm
there's-
being subtle.
There's a
you
good
know,
quality
I think
behind
I'm-
that.
I think I'm being subtle, you know, but you know, I've had people walk off stage, you know, because I'm giving them this
an
stare
ego
down,
trip, yeah.
and it's you know, and I think it's just
If you saw me looking
definitely-
I would ego trip on that. I'd be like, why are you looking at me like that? You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, it'll drive me to be better. So that it
Yeah, I would hope
comes
so.
at a good thing. You know what I mean? It's just like, if
I
you
would
can't
hope
get over
so.
it, if you hurt my
Scary
feelings,
shit.
I could get over it. Okay, I'm over it. You know what I mean? Like, let's move on.
In the middle of a
Like-
performance or in the middle of a song,
yeah,
there's no
that's
time
wrong.
for
I-
ego.
I'm-
Yeah.
There's no time for
And
ego.
yeah, I'll tell you what, I probably had much ego on stage many times, you know, and a lot of times it's like, you know, let's get it, let's push it. So if for me, it was always like, okay, I'm in this, let's make this hard, let's make this, and then you see people, oh, we're playing reggae, so it's, you know, drummers laying back, and it's like,
Not
no,
really
you
caring.
need to be sitting
No.
up, you need to
Energy.
Tight.
Energy.
Yeah,
be, drummer,
Yeah.
everybody be tight.
Energy.
Not this, you know,
Damn.
and it's just like nah. Or you know, or we'll do this change that we practiced till 20 times, and then it comes to the show and someone drops it, you know. But you know,
I
and
think that's
I
a
made
good-
that
I-
mistake,
I
and that's,
personally
think
that's what
that's
I've
a good
learned too. It's like,
characteristic,
okay,
man.
I can't even. I'm just gonna do what I do,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm trying to train myself to not even pay attention to
But you have
the
to because
mistakes
it's your shit.
because they're gonna keep happening. You know, you just gotta make sure that because I've learned, you know, once I do that, it'll change the energy of the whole show.
Yeah.
And I've learned I learned that really quick playing with Ernie, man. One time we were playing out there, and he's like, "Hey, man, you gotta get your shit together. You gotta do this." And I was like, "Damn, dude, I thought you reggae fools were a lot more peaceful." He's like, "I'm a fucking lion, bro." And I said, "Yeah, you are, dude. You
Like
are
I
a
said,
fucking
I
lion."
think that's a good characteristic. Man. It really is.
I
And
I
that's
don't know
the
if you
thing.
remember saying
Yeah,
that.
and you'll see reggae play. You know, the drummers, they think it's nah, man.
they want to get blazed and
like it's
get
Get
blazed and be all hippie.
yeah. And if you think it's you're laying back, you know, no, it's everything's machine gun. You're in battle, you know.
It took a long time, Bob, to like what you're saying to understand that. But I think I nominate the Bueno sisters because when we would play together,
Yeah.
they're funny as shit. I don't know if they do it to you. Oh, I don't know if Maribel does it to you. When someone would fall off, they both start going, hey, 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 as loud as they can. So we do in a cumbia, and someone's fucking up, and they start, hey, hey. And you know how Maribel is, so she starts swinging her sax, and then there goes Vero, and they're both, hey, hey. At first, I didn't understand it.
That's
And one
funny.
time I asked them, like, what are you doing? They're like, when someone fucks up, instead of us looking at you, we're going to be fucking loud. It's not going to take away from the song because it's funny. but you all are gonna know one of you bitches is fucking up, and we're clowning you out. So when they would do that at practice, dude, I would be like playing, and I'd be like, "Is it me?" So then I start looking at him, and I'm like, "Is this fool?"
Well, Danny, sorry to say we don't get clowned like that because we try to stay on our beat, bro.
Hey,
I'm my own worst critic, man.
Hey,
so
And if we
I mean,
fall
no
off,
one tells me
we all
shit.
know it. When you fall off, you should know it, and
When we
not be like,
yeah,
I'm
when we
playing,
first started, dude, and he started teaching
we
me
stop,
all
we
the
stop
rhythms
and
and
try
stuff.
it again.
He would do that to me a lot. So I got to that point where I was like, at first, I mean, I came out of rock drumming. So when I started doing like cumbias and rhythms and shit like that, he would look at me and I'm like, I'm not gonna be that guy that he looks at in front of everybody. So I just he just keep it in the pocket, dude, and I was just like, fucking.
It's a learning curve for us, like, and I'm guilty, and Ernie will tell you all day. When you come from rock and you go into this type of music, okay, you can't use your rock feels no more, dude.
I know.
All that shit, fuck off. That shit don't fucking work.
You
no
got to
more.
start all over, yeah.
So when we were learning how to play the cumbia together on the drums in the beginning, and then you would do a fucking rock fill, and I'm like, that shit don't work, bro.
Yeah, dude.
You can't. You gotta take that shit out. And ask Ernie. I would fucking try to do a fill, and it was just too rock, and it would throw everything off because everybody was swinging on a one drop.
Yeah, it's different.
You know.
It's a groove, you know. And it's all about the
It's a
groove.
learning curve. Yeah.
And reggae, cumbia, if you know, it's not everybody's playing straight all the way through. You know, everybody should be playing little bits and pieces that create that melody, that create that song, and without one of them, it's lost.
It's
you know?
empty.
Yeah, and it's so, you know, and it's hard for people to play with so much space, you know, and so much air. They want to play the whole every 16th note.
I think that's what a lot of people, like a lot of my older friends, don't understand. I've tried to explain to them. It's different. They're like, all these dudes get up on a stage and everybody's doing one little thing, and I try to explain to them, but it's not like rock and roll. It's kind of like just in your face. You can kind of distort everything, go bananas, fucking throw a lick in there. And it's when I started playing this music, it's different. Like everybody has a little bit of room. It's like a couple split seconds, and then here comes this, and here comes a solo.
Yes.
But they don't understand even just somebody hitting whatever, a bell
or a block.
You need they need that room. Like if you try, like let's say you guys are playing, and you go over there and you run over somebody when they're about to hit their thing, it ruins it. And all these dudes don't understand. They're like, oh, it's fucking weird. I would never try to play it. I'm like, well, that's the point, that you're the kind of person that you don't have enough self-control. You don't have enough self-control to sit there and go like, all right, my turn, hit it.
Yeah, and
Your
I think
turn, hit it.
as musicians, as music lovers, you know, you wouldn't stick to just one style, you know, and be like, okay, I'm a rocker for life.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And there's a lot of people, especially in
But
El Paso,
you know, growing
that
up, it was a shame. Like,
Yeah.
I remember you can't be a rocker and listen to hip hop back in the day because like you were a poser. You know what I mean? It's just like that was back in the day. Now, dude,
see, that's the thing. Like, you can listen to, the whole thing is to listen to all kinds of music, you know. And yeah, I mean, of course, you were probably a kid, and people were saying, "Oh, you're a poser, you're
but
this
like
or that."
when you're talking about sticking to roots, it's all fine and dandy when you stick to roots because like, there's beauty in the roots, and it's fucking awesome music. But at the same time, it's like you don't want to be a carbon copy of something either. You know what I mean? It's just like you gotta actually kind of switch it up a little bit and have a different sound to, you know, what inspired you.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's not one rockero out there that doesn't know about Vicente Fernandez.
Oh yeah.
Or doesn't know, you know.
Yeah.
So, but how many of those are trying to put it in their set, you know, and trying to, you know,
Tweak
what do I know? Like, am I just like, I haven't been just exposed to rock or to this, you know? It's like I'm exposed to a lot of stuff on here on the border, you know. So, how do I express that? You know, that's the challenge, you know, trying to create your own rock sound or your own reggae
your
sound,
own unique sound
or whatever, you know.
So you brought back that knowledge from California, or did you guys actually implement that into your music over there in San Diego?
Oh, it was So like I said, about a year and a half or so, I was just playing percussion, and then it wasn't until I said, I pulled out my guitar, and I started playing some of those clave and bell patterns on the guitar, and trying to sing some of the Orisha songs, you know, while I'm playing guitar, and then say, wow, this fits, you know, or this works, or, you know, if I do it like that, if I'm playing a 6/8, it actually sounds like a ranchera, or, you know, and just making that that connection, you know, how cumbia and reggae are this far apart.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
Absolutely.
if you just change a little bit here, you're in it, you know. So just trying to, like, you know, just trying to discover that molecule is what I'm trying to do, you know.
Yeah.
So the first album that we did, I put out was in 2002, and I had met up with Pablo Garduño. My friend's like, hey, you guys kind of have the same similar taste. Maybe you guys can jam. So we jammed. And the first night we got together, we came up with Calavera No Llora. And we're just like, wow, that's a good song. And so we're like, let's start a band, you know?
Fuck yeah.
And so during that time, I was already recording songs. And like I was already kind of making a demo of just trying to mesh up the ideas and trying to make it, you know, together, you know, and kind of influenced by, you know, like Ozo Motley and of course the B-side players while I was out there.
I remember when you first told me that.
So I'm trying to put these sounds together, and so yeah, we started doing little shows. You know, Pablo got a couple of buddies, and so you know, teaching. I've been teaching since I started. You've been trying to teach. You know, like oh, this is the cumbia, or this is the one drop, or this is this, and you know, I've probably taught like maybe 10 drummers how to play the one drop.
I love the sound of the one drop, man. It's fucking awesome.
Is
bass players how to.
Yep, I'm one of them. Is this the group? El Camino at the time?
No. So
this before
was
that.
This was Radio La Chusma happening in around, you know, around 2002 is when we put out the album. And I was gonna call the band just Chuco.
Okay.
And it was gonna be CHUKO. And so I made demos, and I came back, and I would come into town, and I gave everybody a demo, and I was like, hey, this is what I'm recording. You know, it's called Chuco or whatever. And so that's when. You know, old friend that we used to jam out with, of course, Julio, Charlie Villanueva, Julio Ortiz, Scott. You know, everybody was listening to the music while I went back, and then so I started making this whole thing where I'm going to drive back and forth and do shows. So I started booking shows here as Radio La Chusma, and then playing shows in San Diego as Radio La Chusma with a different band.
Okay.
And so we just, you know, however, like this is the bass, these are the chords, the bass line, you know, kind of, and let's do it, right? And so I was doing that back and forth, and so when I decided to come fully, like move back after I traveled a little bit, or you know, went to Oakland for a while, went to New Orleans for a little bit, and I was in Chicago for a little while, and then I came back here because I was out of money, and I was just like, okay, start all over. That's when Julio, Scott, and Charlie had already had a trio. And I can't even remember the name of it right now, but when they said, well, just come here and let's just join our group, and we'll start playing some of your songs, and we'll play ours and stuff. And so we started doing that for a little bit, and then there was a radio station called The Eagle, and it was a classic rock station, and they had the Battle of the Bands. And it was a cover band Battle of the Bands. So we're like, so Julio's like, let's join it. Let's enter this contest. So we went in as El Camino, and we won it. We ended up winning.
Oh shit!
Like Julio was just bad.
Where did you play?
We played from Zeppelin to.
Oh shit!
We did the whole array because we were able to do reggae beat. We were able to do everything, right? So we just squashed a lot of people. I mean, Julio was just killing it.
Oh man, Julio
and his voice,
sick,
and so we were doing all kinds of shit and just mopping them up. And so anyways, we won, and that was when I got my congas, and I was like, all right, these are my things, right? And everybody got their thing. And so anyways, after that, you know, the shows we would play, we started doing a lot more of the Chusma stuff because it was getting people dancing and moving. And so the lineup changed a little bit. That's when I added the percussionist and singers and like a bigger group.
And I remember you saying that Chusma means riff raff, right? So it's technically riff raff radio.
Right, riff raff radio.
Cool, man. So
yeah.
In case everybody, like, because I know some
Chusma,
people are like,
you
what
know,
does Chusma mean?
Well, just the whole like the word, you know, just like Chicano, you know, it's for some people it's a dirty word, you know. Chusma is like a dirty word. It's, you know, just like a lot of other words that are out there that people put on other people, you know, to make themselves feel better, you know, and trying to label the lower class or the uneducated or the, you know, those kinds of people, which a lot of us fall in that category.
Absolutely.
And so obviously that's not the truth. You know, we're intelligent people, and we're beautiful people, and this is a beautiful part of the world here on the border, and it's not like any other place, you know. So I wanted to uplift that image, so that we were, you know, so on stage it was always my point to push you know, the word chuco, the word chicano, the word, you know, chusma, and just trying to get that.
Give power back to those
Yeah,
words.
get people. It's like, oh, I can dance. Oh, you know, he's, you know, it's funny, but you know, it's serious, but it's funny or it's weird, you know, like, you know, but to get them used to that.
There's a lot of there's not a lot, but there's a few stories out there as to how El Paso got the nickname Chuco.
Right.
Can you tell us a couple that you've heard or that you believe in?
Well, my belief was, you know, back in the Zoot Suit days,
Yeah.
you know, in L.A. and in the West Coast, the military were, some say they were even told by the superiors, hey, go out and beat up some Mexicans, you know. And at the time, the Mexicans were into to jazz and to swing and into, you know, that kind of music, and they were getting thrift store suits, which were oversized, and they would tailor them down for their own style, and that was the Zoot Suit style.
Yeah.
And so Zoot Suit riots came about when these you know, probably you know, Midwestern farm boys came, and they were in the Navy or whatever, and they'd get off on the weekend and go beat up some brown people, and
They'd spot them out by the way they were dressed.
right. And so a lot of brown people were getting beat up, and when this would happen, a lot of the family, there was you know, a lot of families in LA have relatives in El Paso, and so they would say, well, go live with your tia, go live with your grandma for a while, go, you know, get away from this, and so they'd go Pachuco, they would go back to Chuco, and so they would say after a while, it was like, if you dress like that, vas Pachuco, porque, you know, so you're gonna get your ass kicked and you're gonna end up in El Paso. You know, so that was the Pachuco look, you know.
Yeah.
So that's exactly how I heard it.
That's
whole
how I heard it
idea,
too.
but I heard it also like from Juarez, from
The
Juaritos.
zapateria.
I heard that in Juarez that they would do the suits from secondhand stores and then tailor them down because they didn't
Right.
have money.
Yeah, Tintan.
And the only thing they would really focus on buying, because you couldn't really find them much, was the shoes. So they would spend most of their money on their shoes.
Right.
And then they would do this.
Calcos.
Yeah, exactly. But I heard the story like the same thing you said, but that they would tell them, pues, no, that's Pachuco, because they would come from Juarez to over here, because over there they would fuck with them. But I mean, I guess it would mean
Yeah.
the same thing, because they would get beat up. They were being treated a certain way because of the way they dressed. But yeah, I heard that story because
Yeah,
we
well,
went
it wasn't
to a
really
show.
the way the dress was, the skin color, you know. But they were the ones that were out there and that were at
Fuck
the clubs.
everybody, yeah. Like I'm gonna show
Yeah.
myself off.
Yeah.
But you see all the old movies and they're like fucking represent putos, like, you know what I mean?
I think that's just one of the, you know, that's just one of the things that Hispanics do. We take old stuff and we put pride in it, and we make them new, like a bicycle or a lowrider or our clothes
A
or anything
fucking
like
hat
that.
that your
you
grandpa
know?
gave you.
We
Like,
take that and we
Right.
just kind of like upcycle it to like,
Yeah.
you know, this
Hell
is
yeah,
us,
dude.
you know?
Make it your own.
So
We were
that's what
recycling and upcycling before.
Upcycling, yeah,
Hey,
before the
was-
pallet fest and all that
Yeah,
shit.
before it was green.
Hey, straight up, I used to
Like,
get
I've seen
hand
houses
me
made out of pallets. What are you talking about?
fuck yeah, man.
When I was little, dude, I used to get all my brother's secondhand shit. Like, they would outgrow a pair of jeans and then I'd get it. But when they would get the pair, like, Junior was a fucking asshole. He always got the new stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I would always watch him because I'm like, one day those jeans are going to be mine. so if he got them dirty, I'd be like, well, it's all over now.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's funny. But I mean, it comes from the same idea. You take older stuff and you not reinvent it. You just bring it out again. Just
keep
make it
using
work.
it.
Like
Yeah.
if you find a really old guitar, that'll be dope as shit. Put some new strings and it's something really old. Yeah, it sounds like
which
shit.
is how it usually happened for all of us. We'd get like a hand-me-down guitar from a tío or from our parents or somebody, or grandparents. My grandpa gave me a little piano. He gave me a little Casio keyboard. Every morning I used to see him like mess with it and like play little bum, 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 bum. And I was
See-
like, man, I want to know how to do that, you know?
That's where
I watch my grandpa do
musical
that all the
influence
time,
came.
you know, before he'd go back to work and stuff.
My music influence came from Jake. You know what I mean? I had no desire to play any type of music, but it was
Jake.
crazy. But Jake, yeah. But like I heard that my grandpa forced my brothers and sisters, my grandpa forced my dad and his sisters to be in a band as well, and my grandpa was a drummer, and I didn't know that. I was just like, wow, you know,
that's
now
cool.
as a fucking adult, I figured that out, but they didn't want to do it. My dad was supposed to play the trumpet, and he was just like, no, I don't want to play the trumpet. You know what I mean?
So he was mad about
Yeah.
it. That's how
So-
most of them. Well, I mean, shit, they had like 20 kids back in the day because they had
I
no
f-
TV.
I feel it, man. I bought my boy. He's out into drums. I bought him a drum. We bought him a
Yeah,
drum
we
set.
saw that the other day.
And he's like, yeah. Like,
It's cool.
no, we have one his size, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
And for a while he would jam it, but then he kind of like he
saw the
sits there,
bigger
like,
one.
Come on, man. But it's one of those things like I don't care who you are, you're to get your kids to do what you do is not a,
It's either gonna
It's
either
not a
them or
priority.
not.
It's not a top
they
priority.
find it on their own,
Yeah, it's either there or it's not.
They find it on their own,
So to get back on it, so El Camino wins.
Yeah.
They win a battle of the bands
Oh my
for
God.
Eagle.
And you check it out. There was like at the time handlebars, right?
Yeah.
Well, that fool he comes to the concert, to the competition, and we just get off stage. He's like, man, you guys are awesome, man. You guys are the best. I want to get you in my bar. I'm like, cool. I go. I was just like, he's like, you come talk to me so we can we can work this out and get you guys to play in my bar every week. Like, right on. So I go, and he's like, oh yeah, but how much you charge? And I was, at the time, it wasn't even that much, and I was just like, $600. He's like, oh no, I can pay you like $250. He goes, my karaoke is only $150. Like, motherfucker, we're never gonna play here. You keep your karaoke, motherfucker. Like, it's like people in El Paso don't appreciate the actual art of it. So
Yeah.
So we, from the get go, it was that, and from the get go, I've been battling club owners and just people and just trying to up our pay to where what we deserve because we're the ones
Moving the gear.
we're just moving the energy and giving your place a little bit of action. You know what I mean? So that was always a battle from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I've always encouraged bands and I always discourage bands from playing for free. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that. You're messing me up.
You hurt everybody, man.
You mess me up when you do that.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. I've gotten into it with a bar owner, and I told him flat out, I'm like, look, man, I provide a service. You're hiring me to keep people drinking over here. I don't need you like you think I need you. I'm not just sitting at my house like, shit, I have 100 motherfuckers that want to hear me play. Oh, boy, I wish I had a place. That's not the way it works. I provide a service. I come in. I bring everything. And I've been working on this on the low, not just here. I come in, I provide a service. You make some money, and I make my money, and I go on my way.
Yeah, but you're here on the border, so like
they don't get that.
fools would be like,
They think they're doing you a favor.
Yeah. Well, they do because there's people that are lined up to say, I want to play for free. I got my buddies, we work all week and we want to come and play.
Just hang out,
our
jam, get a
wives
couple
are
free
gonna come
beers.
and, yeah.
It hurts, man. It's not about the money, guys. We're not saying that
our
it's about
wives
the
and I-
money, but it is about the respect. Like, you put a lot of time into your craft.
Appreciate the
Yeah.
art.
Oh, we just heard that today. I mean, not like that, but we just heard today. We work with a man from Guam, and we were talking to him. Oh, you weren't there. We were talking to him during the menudo breakfast, and we're like, "You've had tripe before?" He's like, "Yeah, different ways." And then we're like, "Well, how did you eat it?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, I would just make it." And then I think guy asked him, "Well, you don't go to any restaurants?" And he's like, "No, nobody fucking opens a restaurant in Guam because there's too much family. They want everything for free. You have a restaurant, and all your damn nieces and nephews,
yeah,
like,
you're
hey,
out of
give me a
business.
bowl." Like, you know what I mean? That's
You're out of
kind of it's kind of in the
business.
same token. Like, we can't. People don't understand what we spent all week jamming, and then
But then
you
again,
go-
that's the way he is. The way he is, he's always bringing food for everybody.
oh
He's
no,
trying
but
to,
yeah,
supply
no,
everybody.
but he's just saying that it's too much of a
That
hassle.
mentality.
Yeah.
Right. Trying
And-
to run a business.
And I guess what I'm taking, what I know, what I want to say is that nobody knows what we do. Like, we practice all week, and then we load up a couple trucks with a shitload of gear, go set it up a couple hours before the gig. Probably usually don't get any time to rest before it. Sound check, get there, play, take a break, go piss, get a beer, go play again, go take a break, take a piss.
Yeah.
And by the time you're done, it's about 2 a.m. And then you still got to go load that shit back up. Still travel to wherever you got to drop it off, take it
Unload
down.
it again.
You don't get home till like 4 a.m. And how much money did you make off of it?
Yeah.
A measly $50 after you pay your 8 members.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I
that's
mean?
why you might as well
Yeah.
be playing music you love, music you make yourself. And I think, fortunately, it was a purposeful formula. I want people to get up and move. So I want to be playing upbeat beats. I'm going to be playing, these rhythms that get people off the chairs and dancing, And so that's always been part of the formula from day one, just to make it worthwhile. Your music is your vessel, and then you can put in, your political standpoint or your message of love or your message of whatever, So it's always been a good formula for us.
Yeah. And so then you started making your first album under Radio La Chusma. Can you talk about Can you talk about that collection of songs that you used on that one? I believe you can find it on Spotify. You can find it on...
Yeah, most of the music can be on... It's on iTunes, Spotify. Well, the first album, it was just... it was, like I said, it was an experiment. It was like a demo.
Yeah.
And so we did Calavera, No Llora. We did Legua. We did... there was this Morning Prayer... just different songs that I had been writing since I was, I'd say about 18. I'd already been writing songs, putting these ideas together. So the album is called Sonido de la Gente, Sound of the People.
Yeah.
And so we put that out in 2002. And so with that, I kind of went around and would go up to Mendocino, and I stayed up there for a few months, and people would listen to the songs, and I'd get them together, and we'd play them, in a little bar, or I'd go do that. And
what were the shows like then? Were you playing actual stages here, or were you like having to like move a couple of tables out of the way to make a stage?
There were shows, with a stage and everything. And fortunately, in San Diego, I was fortunate enough to be friends with the B-side players. So my first shows I had Gerardo, their badass bass player on with me, their drummer, percussion, it actually upset Carlos a little bit when he walked into a show and half his guys are jamming with me. But
we've shared that. We've shared that before. That Jesus, I can't think of his name right. You're conguero.
Oscar.
Yeah. Well, we would have shows and we'd see him, and then we're playing with you guys, and he'd just like, just leave the congas up there. I'll just play with you guys. And that in that sense,
yeah, Pedro would do that too.
Yeah, Pedro did that a lot too. Before he became your drummer, he was doing that. Well, he's fucking bad too.
The energy, definitely the Chusma vibe. There's been countless times where we get guest musicians up, or we jump up on other people's stages and jam a song with them. Me with the shekere, or it used to be Mark with the trombone, or just different things like that. Aspects that bring the show alive. You go see a show and then you see the bands jamming with each other, that's something special that a lot of people don't do.
Yeah.
And I kind of got that feel because since the get-go, the members was always changing for a while. So after a while, there'd be, in the audience, there might be someone that knows the bass line because he played with me for a while. So, hey, come on up, or this guy wants to do a rap to our song, or this guy brought, and there would be people who would go to our show with their instrument. And they'd be like, I brought my sax, I brought my trumpet.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Be, like, be ready.
Jump up,
be
this
ready.
is an A minor, and boom, they go off.
Yeah.
And
shout out to the Sullivan brothers, man.
Right. So yeah, with Liquid Cheese and all that. So we would do a lot of jams, and that's with Liquid Cheese we'd do that a lot. So we were always rotating. When we first got in with Nosotros up in New Mexico.
Oh yeah, shout out.
We always would do
McGill and them.
They did us a favor, and they're like, hey, how about you do a set, we do a set, you do a set, we do a set, just to get they wanted to help us out with the crowd and the dancing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, man, those were some of the best shows because people would just pack the floor, and they were there the whole time because it was just a great show. And then of course, on the last set, after their guys are jamming with us, we have everybody just jamming, and we're doing a cumbia like hard for 20 minutes, So it's that good energy, we or having a rap battle, in the middle of our set. We call it Who Wants to Spit, and you'll get a line of guys and they come up and we just keep the rhythm going, and
I don't spit.
And they go.
A good memory that I have of that, I remember being a little nervous about it too because I had just joined your band, and we went out there and played at a tobacco bar in Riverside. I believe we were in Riverside, right. And we opened up for Quinto Sol. And at the very end of their set, they're like, Ernie, get up here, man, and your drummer and your bass player, right. Come on, man, just come and jam, whatever.
Right.
And we went up there. We're like, oh shit, okay. Well, I remember being nervous. You were like, yeah, man, no problem, dude. And you go up there and you start doing your thing. And I just remember being back there, kind of like fucking, just like kind of tripping out. But it was beautiful because everybody was jamming. Everybody we never had that type of experience like coming from a rock side, and the east side and stuff. We never had that type of group unity.
There's definitely more competition and stuff.
It's fucking awesome, dude. It's really cool. Like one of the first shows I remember, we played at 5 Points. I can't remember who's
Chucanos.
Yeah, it was a group from out of town. I don't know who we played with.
Adwella in the Uprising.
There you go, Adwella, dude. And the drummer, I was drumming, and he got behind that, this little gate. And I'm playing, and he taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, "Cool." And then the song stops, and I'm like, "Hey, you're more than welcome to use my set right now. You don't have to move it. Just get up here and do it." And he's like, "No, I just wanted to come check it out." But he was back there just like, "That's cool, man." Like,
vibing.
We're like magnets to each other. We bring each other in, and after the gigs, I mean, all of us are always like, we all hang out. And
well, the reggae scene is
cool.
totally different scene.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying, man.
And that's
when I
how
was
it
doing
should
rock,
be.
it sucked. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked rock, but damn, it was hard to get people in the door. And then when they were in the door, they were like, "I'm going just to see that one band."
Oh, yeah.
After
Oh,
that
it's
band
like,
plays, they
the
leave.
fuck?
Well, that happens in a lot of places. Like even in the it was I guess the reggae ska scene at the time in L.A.
Yeah.
And and that's where the original reggae came from. And like, and it was just all about their crews. So we played the Cheesecake Factory, which is like a good ska spot. And we're like, all right, people are going to dig our music. And so the first band's playing and the crowd's in there. And then it's like, all right, you guys are next. And there's a band after you. And so the crowd's picking up. And this was it was kind of like in the middle of the afternoon. And so as soon as they finish, the whole crowd goes outside. So we set up and we start playing and it's empty. There's like one person in there. And then people would walk in to go to the bar and they're like, oh, this is pretty cool, whatever.
Get a beer and walk back.
And of course, after our set, there was a good crowd there, but it took them, having to go to the bathroom or get a beer that they're like, oh, these guys we should stay.
Pretty good.
Or our band's playing next. Let's just wait in here. They're not that bad, But that's the mentality. Like you'll have all this, and it was like, and that's how a lot of those bands out there make it. You get all your high school friends, and everybody shows up, and then we're done. Let's leave. And it was like, what the hell,
Yeah.
But I have a good story of it was a fixed idea. And we'd go out of town every now and then. We went to Phoenix.
Yeah.
I think it was Phoenix. And so we go and play at this, and we get to the bar. It's dead. It's like a dance club up top. We're like, this is not our scene right there. Oh, you guys play downstairs. So we lug everything downstairs, and we set up in this thing, and they're like, all right, you guys are on in like 5 minutes. Nobody's there, but we're starting in 5 minutes. And so we're like, all right. So we're like, okay, so we all get ready, and then right before we start, they start putting all the smoke, right? Fill the whole place with smoke, and then they're like, all right, we got to start. So we start playing a song, and then we probably had we always had our set, and we did like maybe 2 or 3 songs in a row, and then we stopped, and then all of a sudden you hear, you suck, and then the smoke clears, and it was it was Davey, bro, Davey from he plays with the rockabilly stuff, but he's an old punk fan, old friend of the fan. But we didn't know he was all of a sudden like he drove all the way from El Paso just to fucking heckle us.
That's fucking dope, bro.
You suck. And we're like, hey, it's fucking Davey. Oh,
Fucking Davey. That's
but it was
dope,
cool.
dude.
Oh man,
Well, that was funny, man. But
Hey, but and then I was thinking about it right now. When we went to Bisbee and we walked into that hotel, dude. Well, you guys are gonna play the first show, and me and Guy were like, all right, you're like, you guys are on merch duty. You're the one that said you're on merch duty, bitches, because we weren't playing. But anyways, it was like a backyard, like literally dirt.
It was
it was
the
nothing
brewery.
Behind that brewery.
It was nothing.
oh, right.
Yeah.
You
You
see like
guys-
barrels and
Right when you guys start
The
playing,
mop.
I mean, you guys had like a mixer on a fucking plastic.
You're like sit next to the
container.
mop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you guys started playing, we were like, oh, it's not nothing. No one's gonna come. And before we
There's
knew
like
it,
a
you guys started
mob,
playing,
dude.
dude. It
Just
was
fucking mob.
boom, like it was so packed, dude. We were me and him were like
Yeah,
in the
dude.
back, like damn, dude.
I don't remember that.
Shit, it was
yeah.
bad, dude.
I just remember the later show.
The later show was dope too. Yeah, that one was
It's getting
fucking
it.
fire, bro.
By that time, because I'm telling you told us you're on merch, bitches. So we sold about half of it at that one, and then we went to the hotel and whatever.
Sold
We
out
hung out.
later.
We went to that show at the bottom. It was so good. We sold out right away. We were able to leave the merch
Just
table
go
and just go
dance.
dance
Yeah,
with you guys.
You
Yeah.
probably don't remember this, but we were pissed off because they were pushing back our set time, and we were supposed to do like over an hour.
Right. No,
But
it's
we
like
were-
next door.
We were only able to do like 45 to 30 minutes because these dudes like took too long, and we were supposed to headline. We were supposed to close the night, and they didn't want us to get off. So we were able to play like another 2 songs after 2:00, and then we had to like shut it down. But everybody was ready to go at that time.
the guys that were on stage before you, like you guys are literally there with your little boxes, like getting.
we
like,
were on
lined
we were
up.
on the street,
And
like
these
ready
dudes-
by the door.
And
We're
these
just
dudes
like,
were
right,
like,
right.
Ernie's
super
like,
slow,
hey man, these motherfuckers. As soon as they stop, I don't give a fuck if they're still on there. You get up there and you start setting up your shit.
It was cool. as
Because it was a
shit,
big
though.
deal. It was a big show. You know.
It was fucking.
It was
fun.
fun,
Man.
yeah.
That was some fun.
Well, there's
shit.
countless Countless memories like that. And that's the thing, and that's the part of the other mission was just to spread the Chuco love, style to the rest of the region, and I tell you what, we just try to make it to wherever we go. People would say, "Fuck, I want to go to El Paso." If that, if they're coming, the scene must be awesome. And I'd be like,
this
I
is
had
what
to
you
break
guys
it to
do
them,
over
like,
there?
No, the scene's not that great, but that's why we're here. But we're, but every time they're like, "Man, you guys are," it was just always one of those things. So every time we were out there, we were always pushing Chuco and El Paso and Chicos and whatever we could to get people riled up. And everybody has a cousin in El Paso.
Yeah, everybody, everybody, no matter where you go. But and it's the beauty of like when you go play Silver City or when we go out and play somewhere, it was like a refreshing sound to hear from us. So even though these people didn't grow up on cumbias or reggae or anything,
they dig it.
They just feel like, hey man, that's refreshing. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, a lot of times, the best shows too are the small towns.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to go play, Phoenix or
no one's gonna go out.
Austin. You're gonna, unless you're already getting it going or whatever.
Try Terlingua, man.
But you go to a small little town and it gets crazy.
Yeah, because you're the only ones there.
And you see the people two-stepping to reggae and you're just loving it. It's like it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Your album, The Sound of People. How did people take it? How did it do out there when? I'm guessing at this time you're still selling them like straight at the shows.
Yeah. I mean, it was all right. People were buying it because they were interested, and they were like, "Yeah, I think people got it," but it fell short. I mean, it was just a demo. It was supposed to be a demo, so I was never happy with it. I was never like, like this is my thing. I would always use it as a demo, but and if I had to, I'd sell it just to make some cash. But definitely through like in this last album that we're about to release. It's called Pura Rastafari and
Puro Rastafari. There we go.
You
hear that, Charlie? Puro Rastafari.
I was gonna. That was
I forgot the name of your album.
So the last three albums, we taken a couple of the songs from that album.
Cool.
And redid them.
And remade.
Yeah, we remake them. So this one we did Calavera No Llora. We redid that one, and so it's more of a cumbia reggae feel. Like, if the first album was more of the ideas, how I can put this together. How can I sing an Orisha song with that rancheras beat, and a accordion and a chundata, or how do I, and so now it's like, okay, this is how we do it, and so.
And just to poke on that really quick, when I saw you guys live, like the first couple times, completely different, and then I get online, he knows because I'll be at work just singing your shit, right? And it's just it's a completely different. Oh, like I don't know. I guess you record them one way, but when you guys are live, it's like fire. It's
yeah,
trippy.
and I guess that's just lack of experience. I guess with recording, we learn as we go.
Oh, okay. Like you're talking about like speeds and
or just the
like
trying to get that feel.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, well, let's record it this way, and then we'll try to match that feel on. You try to get that feel on stage of a big sound.
I think we
have
have
a lot of energy. And,
I got the impression being in your band that the songs evolve, and the longer that you have them,
they're gonna change every time.
They're gonna change with different members, and just where you're at in your life, it's gonna be a little bit different than when you first created the song. And it's cool to share that. It's cool to share that version, like this like look how much it's matured.
Right on. Yeah, I think I totally feel you, because that's also one of the things that I love, as far even like getting people to jump up and jam, but playing the songs differently. Like I mentioned before, playing in a band that played the songs the same way every time for 20 years. You're just like, there's no way I can do that. So every song is different. That we might play it a little longer. Take an extra solo. There might be 3 soloists playing. Or whatever. We got to be used to that improvisation. To be able to change it, or we're in the middle of a rhythm and I'll call a different rhythm on the same song. Yeah, and we change it.
You'll call it an audible, man, like Tom Brady. And you're just like, hey man, stop right here. Boom, boom. Yeah, like, we never done that before.
Cumbia, all of a sudden everybody's like, okay, cumbia. Like, and you feel the crowd. Everybody's like, kind of feeling the reggae, but they're not, But they were jamming to that the cumbia earlier. Let's do this one cumbia, or let's try this. Let's try this like this, or
2 other musicians out there. When you do something like that, you fall in love with the song all over again. Usually when you write your song, like, oh man, it's awesome. I love this song. Can't wait to show it to my guys or my group, and then you play it so long that it kind of gets a little stale on you. But then you start letting it evolve and doing different groups like this, like Ernie does, and then you fall in love with that song all over again. Like, so it does have its benefits. You know?
For sure. And there's songs I tell you, like, every time the lineup would change, I would have to reteach those songs. And so some of these songs was like, oh, I've had it with that song, you know. But then something will come different, you know. Something new will show up. We give it a rest for a while, and then we start it again. It's like, okay, this is fun to play again, you know. And it changes a little bit, and you know, that's the evolution. That's, you know, and that's cool because those songs or whatever they're alive, you know. They'll keep changing, you know.
The next album after The Sound of the People was at the 91.5.
91.5 Mexican.
And how did that one do?
That one did great. You know, we sold. We got to keep ordering in the boxes of 1,000, you know, just to keep them selling, you know. And
keep it in rotation.
Yeah, and we had a good a system going at a good little machine at the time, you know, with just the support that we had. We had 2-Ton Creativity, Morris Piddle helping us get shows and get what we're worth and do contracts and you know, just booking and like I said, asking for what we're worth, and if they didn't want to pay it, we weren't going to get it, you know. We weren't going to do it, and then just keep playing, and man, we killed it for a good 3-4 years of just hard playing, you know, and that's what really kind of got us to that little ledge of being able to you know, request what we want and stuff. But yeah, that was a good album that we recorded. I had a benefactor actually for that one, a good homie, Tim Aquilina.
Shout out.
Badass musician, you know, a deadhead. You know, he's just a great guy, and he said, "Man, here's whatever you need. Let's make you. I want you to make your album." And so we were blessed to do that, you know. And
any memorable times on that album, or maybe during the recording session, or anything like that sticks out to you?
I mean, just we did most of the recordings in his house, which he has like pretty much an instrument from all over the world in there. He's got just room after room is just musical instruments. So it was like, well, let's put this in there and let's throw this and let's, you know. So there was a lot of tracks that we didn't even make the album because it was just so much. But yeah, I mean, I was playing the, you know, all kinds of great instruments, and it was just fun, you know. And then of course getting the guest musicians to show up, and you know, Adrian Esparza, Louis Prieto was on that, Annette Rios sang on that, you know, Gilbert Uribe. There was just a lot of a good mix, you know, and we had, of course, good support in pushing it out and making it bigger than what our CD release was off the hook. Everything was just big, you know. Had TV commercials and stuff like that. You know, it was a time where we were probably the first band to be like branded, like they branded the city for a while with our music.
You're talking about
we did
Cruisin', huh?
No.
Well,
no, it was just. I don't think it was Cruisin'.
Well, because Cruisin' came out on Kelly Q a shitload before I knew who you were.
Well, that's So there was a lot of things that put us kind of in the rotation, you know.
Yeah. On
CBS, they had us play for like some in between the it was during the Sun Bowl. It was nationally aired, like in Chucano songs. You know what I'm saying? Like that hadn't been done before. You know what I'm saying? And so there was things where we're kind of like pushing the envelope on just being a little more mainstream, and but we drew the line at lip syncing at the game. So
yeah, fuck that.
It's all in or nothing.
Yeah, and so but yeah, I mean that album we were able to get a lot done, you know, for sure.
After that album, a couple years later, you guys came out with Rasta Mexica. That's one of my personal favorites because at that time you were talking with me and you were telling me, hey man, like listen to this album, try to get what you can, as much as you can possible out of this album. And so I really got to, I really it opened the door for me to get in to see what you were trying to do. How did that one do, Rasta Mexica?
Oh, I did great. Same thing, you know. Just at this time, of course, we're already traveling and promoting and doing tours. So yeah, you know, we just, you know, it did really well. You know,
what's the meaning behind Rasta Mexica?
Mexica.
Well, I mean, if you break it down, Rasta. Mexica.
It's the native.
Yeah, the native way of saying Mexico. You know, the Mexicans and Mexica people. Mm-hmm. The X is pronounced with the SH.
Okay.
So Mexicanos, You know, and that's so it's not Sochi, it's a shochi, right? So Mexica, you know, just kind of so
Just
people
combine
can
them
ask that,
pretty
hey, what
much.
is this? You know, most people will look it up, and then they might find out about their own roots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And since it's just kind of the play on the mix of the Mexican, the African, the mix of life and the mix of who we are, you know, and so so that's definitely the gist behind, like I said, the music, you know, all the rhythms, our lives here on this earth are all one, and they're just different flavors. So trying to piece it together as quick as what we can, you know.
It's a beautiful journey, man.
Yeah, yeah,
The new album that you guys are going to be coming out with pretty soon. Do you guys already have a release date for that yet, or not just yet?
yeah. The release date for that, not yet. It's of course with this with the quarantine and everything, it's been a little more
Pushback.
long as far as getting things done. You know, we gotta just through emails and texts and phone. You know, as far as mixing and remixing and correcting them. You know.
Yeah, so the new album is being pushed back a little bit right now because of the quarantine and everything, and the emails back and forth on the
Yeah.
mixes.
Yeah, but we're almost done with it. We've just been just finalizing all the mixes. We're doing some with Dave Moncayo. We're doing some with Gabe Gonzalez.
Nice.
So we're putting it all together, and we're gonna give it like a little radio station theme, you know. And but on June 19th, I believe, we're gonna be releasing the video, the music video for Calavera No Llora.
Is that going to be considered like the second single of the album?
Yeah, I guess so.
Cool.
And that one was done by Grito Productions, Mario, the bass player, Mario Ramirez.
Yeah.
He's that's his product right there. So we're pretty proud of that one.
Awesome, man.
And
We look forward to it, man.
yeah,
Now, that I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I wanted to talk about this time. One time we were at practice, and we had turned off the lights, and we got into a nice vibe, man, and we had some candles on, and we would go off into tangents in the song sometimes, and we would just go riff and just vamp off of it for a little while. And I remember that you just started vamping yourself on the mic, and I remember having my eyes closed, and we were in a certain energy, and I heard this old man singing. I heard like I just heard a different voice, and I opened my eyes because I thought someone else had came in like to take the mic and just started jamming.
yeah,
And I just see your eyes, and they were real sharp, and they looked a little different to me. And I just remember this sound coming out of you, and I know your voice, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, after we finished the song, everything was cool. We're like, hey,
Spirits.
cool. And I was like, hey, Ernie, man, you sounded like an old man right there. What was that? And you're just like, it's just my ancestors, man.
they'll come through, bro. That's
Hey.
the way they'll come through us, you know. If we're in those, there's certain moments, and some people perfect that moment, you know.
That story reminds me of Cumbia de los Muertes from Osomali.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Another time, we were playing at the Santa Fe Bandstand, and a couple of acts had gone on before us, and everybody was feeling good. Everybody was doing a good job, and once we got on there, we started playing a song called "Oh Yeah," which is for the
Yeah.
goddess of the wind.
She's a win, yes.
And we start playing this certain song,
Change, transformation.
and there's a guy dancing in the front, and all of a sudden he starts doing these moves that we haven't seen before, and he just starts moving, and I just remember being in the back just watching this guy, and when we finish the song, he falls, like he faints.
The fuck?
There's an older black lady behind him, and she's looking at him, and she looks at Ernie, and she goes,
Like you got
He
like you got
she
him.
got possessed, yeah.
yeah, she knew. And she
Just-
told Ernie.
All right.
So, and I remember he just stayed on the floor for a while, and like nobody was like helping that guy. And I get on the mic, and I was like, hey, can we get some paramedics up to the front? We got a man that fainted. And finally, these two paramedics came. They rushed right away, and they went and picked him up, man. But I asked Ernie about that. I'm like, what was that, man? And I think the way you explained it to me. Well, do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few moments where spirit, you know, comes around, you know, and I mean, it's this far away, you know, so, you know, playing some of these songs, these are sacred songs, these are ceremonial songs, these are songs that invoke the orisha, that invoke our ancestors, that invoke, that vibration. And music is definitely a pathway to that, and so sometimes, and I've always had this vision of course, bringing that to the
that awareness,
to the main stage, to the stage where most people are just playing whatever blues or whatever, and people aren't feeling it. People aren't growing from it or creating or whatever, but so that's part of the formula too, to try to get into that spirit.
Yeah.
And so there's been occasions where someone gets possessed or someone feels their ancestors want to come through and dance, and yeah, I mean, I would have left him alone. So, the lady was taking care of him. He was fine. He was probably on a vision, and that's a thing that a lot of people don't understand, and you probably didn't at the time.
No, I didn't understand.
It looks like
at
someone's in trouble. That's an emergency.
Yeah, but it wasn't like that.
No, they might be giving the key to the kingdom right there, and
They're actually they're in.
Yeah, who knows where they're at?
Yeah.
They're getting a plática from their grandma or something, and that's part of it, and that's something that I learned, sometimes, especially if there's people that are aware, they'll take care of those people, and it's something that it's one of those envelopes that sometimes we reach without even asking for it.
Yeah.
And some people were looking for it. There was a time where you were playing with us, and we played at Sacred Heart.
Oh,
and,
man.
And there was already it was a priest that had come back, and it was
Father Ram,
and they were going to honor him, and so we were there, and there was already a weird spirit happening.
Yeah.
There was a group of people that they seemed that they came as a group, and they either had like schizophrenia or they were like special needs, right? Well, all of a sudden one of them got up and was like, "Wow!" Started screaming and this and that, and then they handled it, and they were like, "Well, like." And I always believe like there are entities and spirits that can go into somebody that's susceptible or that's open to that.
A medium.
Yeah, or whatever, schizophrenic,
Yeah.
or whatever. So
My oldest brother's schizophrenic.
later on we're playing, and we start playing. I think it might have been Calavera No Llora, or it could have been any number of songs.
La Bruja, maybe.
La Bruja or something. So we're singing, and this lady stands up and starts dancing a little weird or whatever. Well, she ends up going and she ends up going and taking a gun away out of the cop and trying to
From a police officer.
I remember that.
kill
yeah.
the priest or something.
Yeah.
And then they end up the police officer he drags her across the stage. Everybody's looking at me. Do we keep playing? I'm like, yeah, just keep playing. And they pull her across the stage.
She's reaching up, trying to
And he ends up fighting. He ends up kind of wrestling her, and she's strong. She's stronger than him. Like, spirit took over. She's like fighting him, and then next thing you know, like they drag her out with the chancla and hanging it. It was just crazy.
She's like in her 70s, or
it was crazy, and that's the thing, and that's part of the responsibility, I guess. Like to not doing those things in a ceremonial sense, and people might say that I'm irresponsible that way, but I think spirit's everywhere, and I think there are good ones in there. There's sometimes there's confused people and bad ones, and if an energy approaches it, comes into us, and we're not straight in the head, how is it gonna look?
Yeah.
And so it's a sketchy thing, and there's been times where I feel spirit. I feel, oh yeah, come on to me. And the rest of the band's looking at me like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Or King Chango.
So I gotta take care of that. I gotta protect that. So I don't go that far. In that sense.
Maybe have an episode.
Yeah, I still gotta control this. You're still playing a show. But but I think
in that special event. Sorry to cut you off. In that special event, it was Father Ram was getting awarded Latino of the Year for everything that he's done.
For Segundo Barrio.
For Segundo Barrio.
Yeah.
And we were playing it in the reception hall of his church, and he gave us a bendición right before we played and everything. He was really cool.
Yeah.
But before we started playing, and we were waiting for mass to come out, I saw my great grandfather. And my great grandfather passed away probably when I was like 5 or 6.
Wow.
But I saw him. I saw my great grandfather Salvino. He's a tall, skinny man with skinny face. He had his leather jacket, like it's kind of like that brown jacket with the white collar, the white fluff.
Yeah.
And he had his
The,
cowboy hat.
the airman jacket.
And I remember I saw him outside while I was smoking a cigarette in the alley. And I saw him pass by. I was like, that's my Grandpa Sabino. And I tried to find him because I was talking with Charlie out there.
You couldn't.
And I couldn't find him. After everything happened and we noticed this lady acting strange, and she literally tried to take the gun out of the cop's holster, but thank God he's got like a safety on it, so she wasn't able to grab it right away. And the two cops that were protecting Father Ram, they ended up like subduing her, like Ernie said, and all that stuff. After the show and everything, and we were packing up, before we left, I saw that man walk by again. And it was my great-grandfather. And I wasn't thinking about him at the time or anything. You know, I just hadn't seen him in so long. But I recognized him right away, and I was like, why is my great-grandfather here? And I've always wondered that.
Wow.
Sorry.
Definitely different. No, that's amazing. That's cool, man. There's a few people that come up to me saying the same kind of thing, you know. And I think that's the whole reason behind it, you know, is just trying to either discover our ancestry or get into more of our spirituality, you know, or, you know, you never know. And so it's great, you know, just to know that spirit's right there. And, and that's our responsibility as musicians to harness and to control that and to celebrate it, you know.
The last story that I'll bring up, and then we can wrap up here. The last story I'll bring up about Mystic Ernie was Ernie went out to a ceremony for a good friend of his that plays in Nosotros. That was getting a certain initiation.
Ricky Carido.
Yeah, good old Ricky, awesome conguero, super cool dude. And you came back with a story which was so cool with me that it stuck with me. And I want to say this was like 2016 when you told me this story. Was it around then, or was it earlier than that? Was it 2015 when you went out there for Ricky?
I'm not sure.
So
Might have been 15, 16.
you go out to Albuquerque to be there for the ceremony. When you came back, you told me that you had heard a message from the ancestors, and you told me they said, "Sharpen your knives and raise your children to be warriors." And I kept asking you about that and you just said it in a matter of fact, like, well, change is coming, man. Change is inevitable. Change is coming. Sharpen your knives and raise your kids to be warriors. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Thanks,
Look
sir.
what's going on right now.
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah.
Look what's going on, man. You
Yeah.
told me that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, I remember immediately getting an apprehension from that and thinking, what's coming? What's coming? And sure enough, if that was 2016, we started seeing a lot of deaths of like famous people and this and that. And we started seeing a lot of these shifts coming on.
The shootings. There's a lot of shootings.
A lot of
that are happening.
shootings. You know, a lot of hurricanes and stuff happening. Like all that stuff that went down in Houston and all that stuff.
It's definitely Oya's time. You know, transformation. We're going through a transformation, and the whole point is to be comfortable in that transformation.
Yeah.
Just like our purpose in life is to prepare ourselves for the time when we die.
Don't
To
be
able
afraid,
to
man.
to transfer in an easy way. You know, and that's basically it. Like, there's nothing else that we can. You can't save enough money. You can't, do it. Collect as many cards, whatever, that's gonna help you transition into the next world. You know, and in this world, we're gonna have many transitions, and this is definitely one of them, for sure.
That's awesome, man. Do you guys have any other questions for Ernie before we go? This isn't going to be the last time we'll have you on, Ernie.
No, not at all.
Anytime you guys have anything to promote or anything, that's a perfect excuse to just come and shoot the shit with us, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else?
Well, I wanted to make you do something for us, but we're gonna wait till next time.
All right.
Cause so be kind of ready. It'll be a fun little
Okay.
little.
As long as you guys show up on time.
Tell him, Ernie.
Hey,
Give
dude,
at it, Ernie.
watch,
Give at it.
Hey,
2 o'clock.
You've been
This
waiting,
guy
you're
texts
waiting.
us.
I can't.
Hold on. This
Get
guy
mad at
texts
him,
us
dude.
at 2 o'clock. He's
Get mad
like,
at
"Hey,
him.
Henry's here at 2:30," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm barely jumping into the fucking shower,
Nah.
dude. Like,
I
So
told
we
him
had
last
talked about
year.
3 o'clock.
I told
Yeah.
him last week we talked about it.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'll say
Yeah.
it again. I don't know if this holds any kind of how do you say it? Any kind of
Validity.
validity to you or whatever. Validity.
I lose my
Validity?
words too."
Validity to you, but we worked, so just saying.
Yeah.
It's just
okay.
it was just a hot day, dude, and I got home and I was just like, Dude, I told my kid turn like every single air conditioner on in the house, and then when he texted me, and I had just jumped in the shower.
Oh, so
I
you
was
barely
like,
told
fuck.
him.
No.
It's bad
We
production.
knew
Sometimes you just gotta
about
embrace
we
that
knew about
heat,
3.
though.
It was just one of those days
Tough,
where it was
yeah,
just
yeah.
extra hot.
I understand.
It was just extra hot.
Embrace that heat, bro.
Totally.
And then besides
So what are you
that,
gonna make me do?
it's something cool. I mean, you
You
want to
wanna-
try to do it
you wanna
now?
try it now?
You want to
You
try to
wanna
do it
try it
now and see what comes out? I mean, if you don't like it, you can always edit it out.
Okay.
But if
Yeah.
we like it,
What is it?
we got a little jam, and we want you to try to like improv.
Oh,
Can you do that? No.
probably not.
Okay. How about rap?
I can wrap a
Spit a
burrito.
flow, yeah.
Well, I mean, earlier you were talking about how you would just get people on and spit. So obviously you got some kind of.
Oh, I can't. That's why I get people up.
That's a fucking lie. Like, because if you had people coming on stage,
I
you
get
wouldn't just let
people
people
up.
spit. So
Oh,
all
yeah.
right, well then prepare yourself next time then.
Okay,
For something kind of cool, you could talk about whatever you want. You can go ahead and tell us that this is the kind of effect that I want, or maybe next time you come, you want to do something and you think about, hey, I want to try to, something cool.
Right,
Just
right.
try
Yeah, I
something
got a certain
different.
idea of,
Okay.
of where Ernie can do like a little drop and stuff, but I'm gonna have to figure that out later. But other than that, man, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day, man,
Appreciate you,
and
Ernie.
coming out here and giving us the scoop on your music and all the importance and all the details that you put into your music, man. I remember trying to write for you, and I'm like, I don't have that voice. I can't write in that filter.
Yeah.
Like, you're just one of a kind like that, dude.
He's told us
You know.
that 1,000 times.
But I think it's also just with time, like
Yeah.
especially if you put yourself in that frame of mind.
Yeah.
Like, coming from the rock genre and trying to play reggae bass
Yeah.
or trying to write a reggae song is
Yeah.
it's not the same thing. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
you gotta immerse yourself and study and just and get in, drown in that rhythm in that world. To be
Yeah,
able
in
to-
that space.
Yeah. So that's just how it is. But it's cool that you guys do what you do,
But one
and-
thing the reason why we're doing what we're doing now is because of you guys, because of
Yeah,
Chusma, you know what I
absolutely.
mean? The influence you guys put behind this guy is what I'm.
Yeah, you
why
saw
I'm
that.
Yeah.
doing
Crowd, you
it
saw
now,
that
you know what I
crowd
mean?
was moving.
Hey,
Like,
seen that?
You
seen
saw that crowd
shit?
moving. You're
Yeah,
like,
the crowd was
oh,
going
I want to
hard.
do that.
You know,
Yeah. Dude, it was
after
magical, man.
after we saw him, we got back to El Paso, and we're doing
Yeah.
blue, and I told the guys, I was like, let's just fucking start a
no more
cumbia
sad
group,
songs.
bros.
Come
Yeah.
on, guys.
Dudes.
Yeah.
And then we
We're bringing
started
everybody
it,
down.
and
Yeah.
it took months, and then we got the Bueno sisters, and before we knew it, we're like, hey, this could actually work. And then we played our first show, we saw the whole fucking crowd stand up off their chairs and dance.
Yeah.
That was
Starting from the
amazing.
first
It's a great
song to
feeling.
the
It's a
end,
great
it
feeling.
It's
was.
a beautiful feeling.
I've never had that feeling with rock and roll.
That's
I
what it's
love my
about,
rock and
It's
roll.
the ultimate compliment, really.
That's what it's about, like to be able to motivate people and say, okay, well, how you gonna, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to fight?
Hell no.
Or do you want them to,
Dance.
Do you want them to
Rachel.
cry? Do you want them to
dance?
clap?
Yeah. Do you want them to go home and feel sad and try to kill themselves?
But no, but that's the
Hey,
energy you
that-
create, man.
Do you want them to feel sorry for you?
Yeah.
You can't change
Yeah.
the way you are for anybody else, So if that's what you like to do and that's what you need to do, you know what I mean? Like, that's your energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but what Ernie's saying is that make the conscious
Yeah.
decision before you go on stage
yeah,
to
Yeah.
figure out what you're trying to do.
Right, or are you
Yeah.
just doing it just because you want to be on stage and you want your friends to have beers with you and be like, hey,
Yeah.
you're in a band.
You're cool.
Or
You're a
you
cool
want-
guy.
Honestly, that's why I did a lot of the things, but like now I'm starting to like embrace and like really like.
That's how a lot of people start,
Yeah.
and I think it's like you said, you evolve and you embrace things and you're like, okay,
I keep
well,
late.
what am I doing, and where am I taking this, like you're asking me about that West Coast reggae, and I was like, well, it's cool, like, I mean, I don't draw my line at the style of reggae or whatever, but I draw it at what the content is, are you
course.
singing
The
about,
sustenance behind the
Yeah,
are you
material.
singing about
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
fucked up? Are you singing about girls? Are you singing about getting high? Or or are you incorporating that into the story of life and the story of struggle, story of justice, the story of unity, which is the roots in of reggae. Like don't just take the Sublime isn't the beginning of reggae. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They were a cover band.
I don't like Sublime at all.
that played a lot of roots stuff, and so where did the roots come from? I'm just saying in general. I'm not saying you,
Yeah,
but that's the whole thing is the finding the roots of things and what makes it what it is. Why do I like that harmony? Is because it's a gospel harmony. It's a spiritual harmony, Or why do I like that? This or that, or it's because there's always a because, and it's not a, it's we're not there to just, sell tickets and get fucked up.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's always got to be a conscious decision as to what you do, what you do.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, and the reason I call it, it's called white boy reggae or way gay is because, there's a lot of people that,
Yeah.
that don't find that connection. And so they're there at the show to be like, I'm gonna go see a reggae band, or I'm gonna go get fucked up to this instead of this.
We know a couple of people
Or I'm
that do
gonna
that.
go, and it's like, no, that's not the purpose of this. When you've played shows, I've done shows when we did just real quick, we're doing the reggae fest in Austin, and you see 30,000 people out there vibing to your sound. It's not nothing compared to turning around and seeing true Rastas all dressed in white in the back, that heard your sound and came out. What is this? And they come up and they're on the side of your stage meditating to your music. It's a whole nother ball game,
Yeah.
Like for a moment I'm playing to them and not to them, because that's that real connection,
Yeah, you
Real,
actually have
real
a
quick,
connection with
we
connection.
real quick. One time I remember we played in Taos, New Mexico, and there was a big powwow going on at the time, and we saw some chiefs walk in to the show. We were playing like at a brewery in Taos, New Mexico, and when we finished playing, a chief walked up to Ernie and gave him a medicine bag and just put it over his neck. You remember that, Ernie?
Yeah. That was for Mateo, my boy. Yeah. He goes,
And-
hey, you're having a baby. This is for you.
How did he know that?
Well, I guess he's following us and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'd met them before. They're danzantes. They're in the tradition.
Yeah.
So they do ceremonies, and every time we play, they'd be like, we just got back from the turtle ceremony. We just got back from this ceremony, and so they're that's a beautiful thing to connect in that way. Wherever we go, there's people in ceremony. There's people doing lodges. There's people doing ancestral stuff like all the time. So
And
it's just about tuning into that and just
one more example, we played the Enchilada Festival in Las Cruces, and to what Ernie's talking about, we go up and we start playing and doing our thing, and all of a sudden Malo, the band Malo, comes out to the side of the stage and starts watching us and seeing what we're doing, and then we get off stage and Malo's just sitting there like, hey, mijos, you guys did good, man. I like your sound. You guys are badass. And he had all these rings on. He had little jewelry, and it was like, oh shit, man, like that's OG. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
So you got to be doing something right,
That's
Ernie.
been happening since the beginning, where people just catching it from the side and they're like, hey, you guys are doing all right,
And with that, guys, that's a wrap for this particular episode. Please like and subscribe to Los Chucanos on YouTube, so you guys can check out plenty more podcasts coming your way every Mondays. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Thank you, Ernie.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.